What would you advise people who want to start their FIRE journey?
Hmm.
Like what's the process like?
I would say I see a lot of financial like content creator. They emphasize growing your income first and like don't worry too much about saving. But
Really? Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Sorry.
They a lot of people say like if you save 10% of your 3,000 ringgit salary is 300.
What's that, right?
Yeah, what's that?
Nothing.
It's like if you have to focus on your income first before like don't worry too much about savings. But I think they have to go hand in hand. For me, being a frugal person actually helps me.
Before we begin the podcast, have you gotten your free ebook? It's called the Build a Six-Figure Portfolio Guidebook. Now, inside it, we share with you the tips and tricks to bring your stock investing skills to the next level. The best part, it's only 10 pages long and it's totally free. Whether you're on Spotify or YouTube, the link to download is in the description, or you can go to www.firl.co/FREE or www.firl.co/free. Hey guys, today I have with me Dylan from Shoulders of Giant, a very, in my eyes, popular Instagram account online where he shares his journey. He's also in the software industry.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. It's all the rage right now. So we'll be learning a lot about his life and his thoughts about money as well. So welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I would like to say that this is also an honor for me because this is the first time you're ever on a podcast.
Yeah.
And I think with this video or this podcast, we verify that you are not a bot, right? No one has seen your face before. Now everyone knows what you look like. You're a real person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, like last time, if you follow my account from the very beginning, then you will know that I used to own a YouTube channel, but then I stopped posting because I just got lazy. But yeah, I used to post YouTube content before moving to Instagram.
I see.
And then after that, my content became very more like, I feel it's quite niche, so it's easier to explain through text.
That's
and
true.
I just suck at editing, so
it's okay, man.
Yeah.
So
I kind of stopped posting on YouTube, but I still have hopes. Want to continue YouTube, but like that mostly I'm on Instagram right now.
Yes, so go check it out. We'll shout out your handle a bit later on, but for context, everyone listening, I actually, for most of my guests, I actually do not do extensive research on you guys, and it's on purpose, right? You would think that I would want to find out everything about the guests. Actually, I do almost the opposite. I do not know anything. So today we are going to learn about Dylan's story, and maybe you can share with me how what was it like before getting into this whole finance and software industry that you're in right now.
What was it like? Well, I can tell you a bit of my background. So standard public school, primary, then secondary, then after secondary school, took A-levels.
The hardest.
I don't think the hardest. Really? I feel like the hardest is like STPM. People who go STPM is the hardcore.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I took A-levels because at that time I went to KDU, like a private college. They have like some scholarships based on your trial SPM results.
I see.
So I just took it.
So you got straight A's?
For my trial exams.
For your trials. The actual?
My actual, I actually got 1B, which is like Chinese.
Because Chinese too hard. It doesn't count. Doesn't count.
Yeah. But yeah, so I went to do A-levels, and then I actually studied in the US for my degree. And then after that, I came back for a bit, worked 1 year, and then went back to the US to continue working. And then came back again during the pandemic because of like various issues in the US and my work, employment, all those. Came back to Malaysia for a few years, and during the pandemic, basically, I still work for a US remote company. I work remotely for a US company. And then recently, early this year, around February, I got another job in the US, but this one is on-site.
I see.
Yeah, so I'm currently working on-site in the US. Right. So it's like, and then now I'm back for holidays. Then I'm going back to the US soon.
Okay, so pause that first. So were you always in software? Because all these jobs are all software related, right?
Oh yeah. So I actually did electrical engineering. For my degree, I studied in LA, so Los Angeles, UCLA. But I think so in US the degree is about 4 years. Around third year like that, I knew I wanted to pivot more to software. So but very funny, I work as a data scientist now.
Yeah.
Which is just like a fancy word to say you write code to predict stuff based on historical data. So you're just writing software to create like models to do prediction. And I think around my third year of uni, because electrical engineering is mostly on hardware, so it's like like chip design and like circuits and stuff. But I knew I wanted to go into software because hardware, honestly, one, it's very tough, and two, the software industry at the time in the US is like booming. And you can just check the trend that software engineers, they earn way more than other types of engineers, whether it's mechanical, civil, electrical.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was already very interested in software. And then, very funny, but I stumbled upon a Facebook ad. I still remember, it was a Coursera machine learning course by Andrew Ng. He was one of the pioneers of online education. He was the founder of Coursera. So, and I got a Facebook ad to take a machine learning course. It was free at the time, so I just took it. And when I took it, I fell in love with machine learning. So, for context, machine learning, it's a new way of doing programming. So traditionally, programming is like you define the conditions. So people call it like if-else statements. So like if A happens, then do this. If B happens, then do this.
It's human generated.
It's a rule-based programming. So like you tell the machine certain rules, and then it will execute based on those rules. But machine learning is a bit different, where you create a model where you have the prediction output, and then you adjust the weights. So let's say the most simple example is like, let's say you have a lot of data of like two categories of dog pictures and cats. And then you give the model and you say, this is a cat, this is a dog, this is a cat from different angle, this is a dog from different angle. And the model will adjust we call it the weights, which is sort of like just a gradient. If you learn basic statistics, right? Y equals mx plus c, right?
Yeah,
so
that's the
m is the gradient, right?
Yes.
So in machine learning, you are adjusting the gradient, based on the labels. And then after a while, after a lot of training data, your model can predict new set of data. So it can predict like another image of a cat that it has never seen in its training data.
So a different breed or something.
Yeah, it can predict something. So it's a very different way of programming from the past, where it's rule-based, and now it's based on training data, and you're fitting the function.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought it was a very powerful concept. So at that time, I was in my third year in my uni. So I went all in to just study more about machine learning. And then right after graduation, I straight away pivot. I never entered as a electrical engineer. I straight away pivoted into data science.
Right.
So from there on, I was always doing data science. So it has been like 8 years already. So
wow.
But in between my data science, I had a few data science jobs already. In between there, I also took a master's, and my master's was in computer science. But in computer science, data science is like a subfield of like computer science.
Okay.
So
yes.
In my computer science master's, I mostly took data science and machine learning classes.
Right.
It's all almost like interchangeable. Data science and machine learning, they're all like
the same word.
Like, they are like umbrella, So like machine learning is here, then data science is above machine learning, then AI is above data science. So AI covers almost everything, because AI covers things like data science, but it also covers things like machine learning, and then it covers like computer vision. It also covers like human-computer interaction. So AI is the giant umbrella, and then down there got data science, and then under data science got machine learning. Then under machine learning, maybe got the more subtopics like statistics and stuff.
So when you started out in data science, what were the jobs that you were sort of involved in?
I first started off as like a associate data scientist already. So my first job was a data scientist, but at the entry level. So that was my first job. Mainly because I already took a bunch of data science classes online on myself. So not from the uni. And I did a few projects on my own. So I highly encourage anyone who wants to go into like software and data science. It's all about like what you have done, not really your certification.
Yeah.
Like if you have no certification, but you can show that you did certain like complicated project. Like you build a website to do prediction, you predict some weather of like, I don't know, Subang or KL, and very accurate. If you can actually show that you have built that, that's
more valuable.
already proven that you can do it, You don't really need like a certification to show that you can do data science.
Of course, you can show your GitHub commits and all that. I think people can, from there, they can see. But were you doing that? Were you?
Yeah, I was doing that already back in like undergrad. So building a portfolio, building apps and building things to show during interview, it really helps a lot. Rather than, I saw a lot of posts. I'm in a few like Facebook groups, like there's this Malaysian Facebook group for developers.
Yes. Dev Kaki, right? Dev Kaki.
Always got people say, should I take a master's? Should I take a master's? And I received a bunch of similar questions in my Instagram. And so people ask like, should I take a master's to pivot into data science? Or some people, they already have undergrad in like IT or computer science, and they say, should I take a master's to get better job? And I always tell them, it's like, rather than take a master's, you should try to build up your portfolio, Try
to do something.
Go build something instead of, try to get another cert. Yeah. In terms of masters, I feel a lot of universities these days, actually masters, universities just wants to make money from masters. So for master's program, a lot of universities out there is, in terms of the curriculum, like what they teach you, it's actually very low quality. But if you say you want to use the masters as a networking platform, then it makes more sense. But only if you get masters like, Harvard, MIT, all those. If you get masters from random uni, I feel like it's not worth it.
I'm just curious, is there any type of things you should work on that would make someone listening to this is saying like, oh, yes, I will want to build my own portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
But are there certain type of things you work on that will make you more employable? Like, maybe certain companies prefer these sort of projects. Do you have a thought process on the type of projects you should be working on?
I mean, depends on what field you want to enter. Like data science and machine learning is just
it's a big word, yeah.
It's just like a high level concept, right? But data science and machine learning, it can be applied into every industry because it's just statistics. It's just modeling. It's just doing prediction, and you can do prediction for finance industry, healthcare industry, even like car industry or any food industry also can, or logistic, everything. So let's say if you want to enter like a finance industry, then you go and stock a bit, like let's say you want to work for whatever bank, you go to they sure got some innovation page, web page, and say what they're doing. Maybe they are trying to improve their customer service for their banking app, Then you can, if you have ideas, you say like, oh, I create a chatbot where I go through this bank's website, I scrape their data, I go and copy their about page, their terms and conditions for, for their credit cards, for their bank account, and then I put it into a document, and then I feed into this chatbot, and this chatbot can retrieve these data of these so-and-so bank's information. So like, let's say I want to ask like, hey, what's the best credit card from bank X? And then your chatbot will say, hey, is this credit card, and these are the conditions.
Based on your history, based on...
Yeah, if you can build this app and you're applying for a job in like, let's say, a software engineer or whatever developer in the AI department of that company, then they'll be super impressed, right? They're like, you're like halfway there of building a product that they want to build anyway. Or you're halfway there of building something that they, maybe like an entire team is trying to build.
Yeah.
And they're like, they'll be super impressed because it's like, it's already like what they want. So you're already like halfway in. So it depends on the industry.
What specific industry within data science that you're in right now, or maybe when you started out? Let's start there first.
I started off in the healthcare industry. So I used to work for WebMD, which is like the
doctor,
the healthcare website.
Okay.
Now I'm working more on a startup, but it's on the e-commerce space. Trying to launch like an AI sort of like a chatbot that incorporate all our proprietary data on like merchants, products.
How I mean, without revealing sensitive stuff, but how's it going to change the consumer experience? Like, I'm not sure if you're working on a site or you're doing the fulfillment part of e-commerce. I'm not sure, but how will what you're doing be like improving the customer experience if that's what you're working on?
Currently, it's mostly just so a lot of AI apps these days is to build is to give each user a more like personalized feeling.
That's right.
So personalization can be, it's like there's no end to personalization, because like as a person live their day-to-day life, they also accumulate more data. So like you might like nasi lemak 3 years ago, but maybe 3 years later you like banh mi or something, So your taste also change. And personalization is both like getting you to use the app and then collecting data from the user, and then also changing the recommendations for the user. So a lot of AI applications these days is to give a more personalized experience to each user. So it's same for e-commerce. So imagine like if you are shopping and you have like a private shopper for you that knows you very well and knows all the inventory of every online shops. They can order for you. They know like which shop will arrive in like 2-day shipping or 2-week shipping, and they know like when you need the product, or they know like you like certain brands, you don't like certain, maybe you have like nuances, you don't like shoes that are too like vibrant color, you want more like matte colors, and it knows everything about you, and it can give you that precise product that you want. So that is like the end goal of most of the AI applications is to do very precise personalization, which requires a lot of data from both the user end and also the world, because you need to collect data from the world to give like good personalization and good like recommendations.
Right.
So a lot of AI applications these days is to do that point, to capture the value. And of course there's other AI applications like like writing stuff or like categorizing stuff and things like that.
Yeah, I'm just curious. If today, someone who just graduated or about to graduate comes talk to you, apart from telling the guy, "Hey, you should build like a portfolio." What are some of the, I guess, do's and don'ts, right? Like, what makes a good software developer in specifically data science? What makes a good data scientist?
I would say it varies a lot depending on your goal. So it's like, it also depends if you are a data scientist for yourself, like personally, you just want to explore the world, or you're working for a company. And even if you apply jobs as a data scientist to companies, different company size would require you to do different things. For example, maybe if you join a startup, a small company, they might require a data scientist to know everything down from how you collect data. So like you might need to know how to build a web scraper, a data scraper to go to certain websites to collect certain data. You want to clean the data, build the models, deploy the model, and then monitor the model. So they might need someone who do everything end to end. Whereas if you go and join a giant company, like, I don't know, Google, Grab, Shopee,
very specific.
Yeah, they might just hire a data scientist to do a very specific task. Maybe they will just ask you to, you handle the reviews. Like maybe Shopee app, you handle the reviews. You build a model to just detect got any like vulgarities in the reviews. That's it.
Right.
And maybe you just do that one small part. So it's like, it really depends like what company you apply for. Every company, they actually hire for a bit differently. Of course, if you go to a smaller company, maybe you will learn more end to end, and depends what you ask from the company. Maybe you get equity or those for smaller companies. Maybe you'll learn more. Maybe salary lower, but you get equity. So it's like, it's up to you to what the trade-offs you want.
Yeah.
There's no like right or wrong. Depending like where you want to start first on like your early of your career. As a data scientist, if you are doing it individually, then it mostly just depends on your curiosity. Some people do data science. Like I sometimes do data science projects as a hobby. So it's just I just let my curiosity lead me. Like sometimes I would just go and look at the website, look at the web for any like available data on properties. Like let's say I want to do some prediction of house price in the future, and maybe I have a hunch that, let's say a housing township, I check historically how many schools within 5 km, how many 7-Eleven within 5 km, and then let's say I have 20 years of historical data, maybe like Subang, I have like 30 years of housing price data, and every year I check whether how many schools are built, how many international schools are built, how many toll connected to that area. Then I project it out. Then I build a model to maybe predict new housing township.
I see.
I don't know, where like Gamuda Cove or Almina, like maybe you can predict the housing price like 30 years later based on like these number of features on the model. And these are more like hobby projects. So as a data scientist, if you are building models for your own, then like the world is your oyster. You can do anything you want. Yeah. And there's also like concepts of like you are data scientists on your own, but you work for yourself, either like consulting, you are like a one-man consultant, or you build an app, let's say, and then you charge like, you're like a one-person software as a service team.
Yeah.
Like you can build a website where people upload PDF and it will extract all let's say
information.
Let's say you can upload receipts, and your model will tabulate all items above $100 and then give a total to you. And then you build that as a service. You say, okay, I built this model. Now everyone who wants to use this service, pay me like $5 a month. Then you create a website, got login and all those. Then it's like, like for credits, then you use any SaaS software, they will like, it's like that. And then you can just build this thing, and then you are basically a one-man developer, one-person developer, do end-to-end software service, and you can be a business on your own also. So it's up to you whether you, as a data scientist or software developer, these days, software developers can delve into the applied data science part, and data scientists can also go into the software development part, because they are both like, they are not exactly the same, but they both require each other to build a finished product.
Well, what is the difference between what you said, software dev and applied data science? What exactly is the difference?
So in the past, right, software developers, they have a few categories, because software development is so big, right? There are people who build websites. There are people who build databases. Then last time, the developers, those who build like the designing of the website, they call them front end. People who build
the back
people
end.
who build the databases, like, you store, like, let's say you use Instagram, right? They have to store your pictures, they have to store your captions, hashtag, your history, your chat message. And these messages have to be stored on the database. And traditionally, there's a software developer, back-end engineer that do all this. And for small companies, they have full stack engineer. So they do front end and back end.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then there's other kind of engineers that, like, let's say DevOps engineers, which in the past handles all the servers stuff, and like maybe you have like certain server that run like a microservice, like a process. Let's say Instagram, certain picture need to be processed on the external server. Like maybe you want to put like a face filter on the image, it needs an external server to process that image. Then maybe like another engineer will handle that server. So applied data science is quite similar to, it's more similar to backend and like DevOps, where you spin up a service of like data science service to be used on your product. So, and they have different names for all these engineers. In the industries, if you build and like you build these servers to do all these data science services, sometimes your title is called machine learning engineer, which is software engineer plus deploying data science or machine learning models. But for someone who is a software engineer, they can transition to machine learning engineer relatively easy. So it's like they just need to learn a bit of like how to deploy the model. Because in the when you deploy applied data science models, you don't need to understand like the math, the deep math behind it. You just need to know how to deploy it. It's almost like you need to know how to drive the car and like the basic things like
it's like technicians and engineers are the difference. Maybe
you need to know like to change the oil and fill up the tank. Then can already. You don't need to know exactly how the engine works.
Yeah. I mean, these are the people closer to the use case part, right? How do you actually use it?
Yeah.
I think one question a lot of people outside the data science field will want to know is there's so many machine learning programs out there. So of course, the most famous one is OpenAI, right? ChatGPT. You have Bard. You have recently announced Grok from Twitter, which I haven't used yet. And do you have a thought on who's going to win? Because if we look at the history of software, one of the things that we see, apart from geographical constraints, right, is that it's a winner takes all kind of situation. So there was your MySpace and all that, but Facebook won, right? Yeah. There was Vine, blah, 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 TikTok, Instagram, you exclude, of course, China, right? Because that one is artificial barrier. So do you have thoughts on who's going to win? And or if you don't, how would you sort of break down the good and bad for each of these three at least?
To me, I don't think there would be like one person being really far ahead for now. Maybe in the next 1 to 3 years, OpenAI is still ahead. The thing with OpenAI is that they have all the talent there. They in Silicon Valley or like San Francisco, right? They have a thing where once like a sizable number of like researchers, like the top people, go to the company, like they start working in that company, you will just keep attracting more and more of the top people. And a lot of the top people in the AI field, they all know each other. So when they see their friends go and work at OpenAI, they also want to join. And if you look at the past like 5 years, OpenAI has been very successfully poaching all the top researchers from Google, from Facebook, from everywhere to work at there. And somehow they are forming almost like cult-like company where like they are so
Sam's friends.
Yeah, they are so strong and like they are like almost beyond like company, culture already, where like they are beyond the monetary value. They are there to like actually push forward a mission. Whereas in other companies, maybe like Google or Twitter or Facebook, you can sense that there's lack of this.
Even Twitter?
Yeah.
Really? Even with Elon?
Twitter maybe got, but like they are too small. So
I see.
There's too much negative connotation with Twitter that a lot of researchers, researchers, they also come from very diverse background. So it's like, but Twitter is making in their style of like reasoning, they are, Elon is like going all like free speech,
a lot of minorities
don't want regulation,
like that,
So it's like if you are a researcher that don't really align with like what Twitter's mission is, then you don't want to go and work there. And also it's like people they when you have a lot of options, right? You are like, okay, I don't want to go somewhere too controversial like Twitter, and only and more so that the like Elon, right? That your boss is openly saying that this place is only for hardcore workers. No time for families, no time for work-life balance.
I always sorry to cut you off, but I always remember that photo of like before and after Elon, right? Before Elon, he saw a bunch of well-dressed women. They look like they're all in HR, and then after Elon came in, a bunch of nerds with like their shirts are all over the place.
So Elon gave that image where it will only attract like single young men to go and work there. So, but researchers come from every walk of life. A lot of them, have families. Some have from different diverse background. They see this image where Elon project of like, this place is only for hardcore people. If you're not hardcore,
you don't sleep on the floor.
If you don't sleep on the floor, you don't work till 3 a.m. You don't belong here. It's a very off-putting image for a lot of people.
Yes, even in America.
I mean, I feel like it's an off-putting image even for a lot of people.
Okay.
No, for me, if I truly believe in like Twitter's vision, maybe it's fine. Still young, can go and like hustle a bit. But a lot of researchers are not at that level already. A lot of them are
40s, 50s maybe.
They maybe starting new family, got a baby at home. You know, they want some time, some work-life balance. But they also want to achieve like a mission. And OpenAI, if you look at their policy, still very work-life balance friendly.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
The smart part about
caveat,
OpenAI, right, is that their work policy very work-life balance. They emphasize work-life balance, but they still encourage people to work more. Not by forcing, but just by having such a strong culture. You know, so it's like the people actually want to work more, not the boss ask them. You know, so there's a huge difference between the boss pressuring you to work more and you actually want to work more.
Yeah.
And if you have employees that actually want to work more, right, your company is like golden, because it's like now it's like your employees are so motivated and you don't even need to motivate them.
Well, what do you think of the whole Sam Altman resigning and then suddenly he's back? Or in the space of less than 3 days, something like that?
I followed the whole thing very closely.
Yeah.
So
what do you think?
It was very weird. I feel like mostly it comes from the board. The board are worried.
Microsoft, right?
No, the OpenAI board. Okay. They are worried that Sam Altman has too much power. And they are worried that he is, commercializing the entire OpenAI's product too fast. So OpenAI was started as a non-profit lab, and their goal was always to create AGI products and then slowly release it to the world. And their goal was never to make profit. But then about 3 years in, they realized that they need money to like train all these models. All these models are trained on really expensive like GPUs. So they need all this money. Then they changed the structure a bit where they changed to a for profit. And then after they launched ChatGPT, they realized that a lot of people want to use the product. So they pivot into a very product heavy company instead of research heavy. They used to be very research heavy. Before ChatGPT, actually, not many people knew about OpenAI.
Yeah, me included, right? I mean, I'm not in the field, so.
But I knew OpenAI from very early on. I've met Sam Altman a few times. So talk to him. He's a very long-term thinker, but he's also very good at he's good at trying to find win-win situations. And then sometimes you might feel like he's manipulating you, but he'll try to persuade you in a way that, this is for the greater good. You'll feel like this is for the greater good. So he's very good at that. And he's a very long-term thinker. And maybe the board felt that, it's moving too fast. And they took a drastic decision. I think the board underestimated the loyalty the employees had for Sam Altman. I think the board predicted that if they fire Sam Altman, nothing will happen. Like the company will just go on and like everything will be fine and Sam Altman will be out. But what they didn't predict is that as soon as Sam Altman was fired, all the employees threatened to quit. And I think the board never saw that coming. Mm-hmm. So they never knew Sam Altman had such a strong power in the company over the employees also. And yeah, so it's that.
So, now if I've not been following, but last I remember that now he's
back
but in a more Microsoft capacity, right? I remember.
No, they went back and forth, but
I see.
Ultimately
he's back.
Ultimately, it went back to almost like nothing changed. After all the drama, went back to almost like nothing changed. They are still discussing the change of structure of the whole non-profit governing a for-profit.
Yeah.
They changed 3 board members. They used to be 6, now it's 3 personally. Yeah. So they removed the 3 board members that chose to fire Sam.
I think a few of them came out with an apology on Twitter also, right? To say that it was a mistake.
One person, so Ilya Sutskever, he was the chief scientist of OpenAI. He also joined the board to fire Sam, and then he later on said that he made a mistake. But he was still removed from the board, and right now, sort of in limbo. No one knows what is his position in the company now.
Right.
Yeah. So I think he's in an awkward position because it's like he tried to fire Sam Altman and now he's back. So it's like if you choose to work together again, there'll be like some awkwardness.
Yeah, I think there'll be a bit of trust issues.
Really. It's like you tried to fire me and then now I'm still trying to work with you. So it's like, yeah. So it's a bit weird, but he's still at OpenAI.
But I'm hearing, okay, again, I'm only looking at this from a distance, right? what I'm hearing is that Google's catching up really fast. And I'm not sure how true that is. So maybe from your professional perspective, you can shed light.
I would say if Google wants to catch up, they can. But so far, they're not showing signs that they are surpassing OpenAI. They have shown signs that they caught up to the level. So they recently released a model called Gemini.
Yes.
And they have two versions, Gemini Pro and Gemini Ultra. So Pro is already live on Bard. Their ChatGPT competitor, which is Bard. So Gemini Pro is already out on Bard. And then Gemini Ultra still not yet out. And then they released some benchmarks on Gemini Ultra, which reach about the level of GPT-4. But you have to remember that GPT-4 was released this year March, and Google released Gemini this year December.
Mm-hmm.
So after
9 months,
Google released a model that is just on par with GPT-4, which is not very promising, right? When you are like a $1 trillion company and you have like a few thousand researchers. OpenAI has like 500 researchers versus your like 7,000 researchers or 10,000 researchers. And you release a model that is on par with GPT-4 after 9 months. So I don't know if Google still has something up their sleeve or anything, but if they have some models that is surpassing GPT-4 by a huge margin, they should come out and say it, because like the industry is like looking at Google and say why they haven't catch up or why they haven't surpassed. But I would say Google, if they want to, like beat GPT-4, they can. They have to.
But I mean, they have the ingredients.
Yeah, they have the ingredients.
They are Google.
Yeah, they have the
internet,
data. They have YouTube data. They have like Google search data. They have everything. But I think Google's problem is not they are lacking of ingredients, talent, or even money. It's more like they are lacking some management direction. Like the top down management, the top down mandate is not strong enough. Like, I have a lot of friends who work at Google, and the culture at Google over the years have reached a level where it's very like complacent. Google used to be the company that innovates. Now they're more like just collecting paycheck. So
it's very natural, yeah.
Yeah. But there's a truth in that smaller companies move faster, and you can cultivate the company culture better in smaller companies. When a company is too big, the culture is lost. It becomes more of a, you go there as like, they call it like a golden handcuff. You go there, get good money, free food, insurance covered. Google even like sponsor things like IVF, egg freezing, all those. And like if like one person pass away, they transfer all your shares to like your spouse, and then they add on some more. So it's like, it's almost like a set for life already. So it's like, why do you want to work so hard? You get into Google, it's like you're set for life. You're like, why do you want to work so hard,
Yeah.
So a lot of people, their goal is to work at Google, but once they work at Google, they're like, okay, I'm chilling now, It's like,
so speaking of this, I think one thing that I keep hearing a lot, I'm not even sure whether it's a good question, but people say that a lot of people are not encouraging their kids to code or go into computer science. But then there's also a group of people that say, look, with AI and all that, wouldn't these programs disrupt the job of the coder? I've spoken to some coder friends and they say, yeah, that's kind of true. But I've spoken to some that says, well, yeah, but who's going to have to maintain these programs? So I don't know where do you sit on this. Will coders and software engineers be disrupted? If yes, like to what extent?
I would say if coders are disrupted, then they'll be at the far end of like one of the last to be disrupted. Because like, if you can code, if you can disrupt like programmers, then you can disrupt every other job as well.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I would say there's no harm in learning to code, because coding is not about the writing code. Coding is about logical thinking.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not about I'm learning this and this like syntax. I have to put brackets here or put semicolon here. It's not about that. It's like it's a way of thinking. It's like coding helps you visualize like system design, like x go in and then like x plus n come out. So it helps you think about functions and like steps and in terms of like pipeline, so like in the like let's say you have raw data come in, then go through this function, become this data, and then go through another function, become this data. So you're learning mostly like logical thinking, and you're not learning the code. The code is arbitrary. So even in coding, there's so many different languages. There's like Python, C++, JavaScript, and all the syntax is a bit different. But if you know the logical design or the sequence of the code, you can actually shift from language to language very easily. And now with like things like ChatGPT, right, you can convert any code to any code. So the coder in the future will become, the programmer in the future will become more of a like an architect, like an orchestrator. So like you define the sequence, you define the logic design, and then maybe the AI will write the code for you. So in a sense, you are coding in natural language. Yeah. So you say, I want this, but before this, I want the data to be like that. And then from before like that, I want to collect it from A, B, and C, and this and that. And then you define the whole entire architecture and the pipeline. And then the AI or whatever program will just execute it and create it for you in the code. So as a programmer, you are learning the architecture design. You're learning the logical thinking. So I still see there's high value in fact, I tell everyone to learn how to code.
Yeah.
Try Python first, because Python is, I always tell people Python is as close to English as possible already. So other programming language is a bit more like messy. So like C++, JavaScript, a bit more messy. But Python, very simple already. It's almost like English. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where you get people to start. I one question people will be asking, so some people might feel it's too daunting to get into coding and all that. Like, where do you see the role of non-AI people or non-coding, non-CS people playing a role in this new world, basically, right? Where AI will be part of everything. Like, even like what we do, I tell my guys and anyone, like, I would rather stop paying rent or electricity before I stop my subscription to ChatGPT, because of how reliant we are on them on quite a lot of things. What if you were giving advice to a non-coder, non-AI guy? What would you say? How would you, what would you tell them to do?
I would say you have to maintain a certain level of curiosity and willingness to try new things. There's so many programs and applications out there that require absolutely no coding already. Even back like 5 to 10 years ago, there's already drag and drop website creation.
Yep.
And people can say that I don't know how to code a website, or you can just go use like Wix or Squarespace or whatever and build a drag and drop website and learn at least the concept of like where to put a drop down menu, where to put like images, and those don't require coding. It's like whether you are willing to take the step to go and learn all this. And similarly, there are a lot of like no code tools out there. Things like there's this thing called Bubble, where you can code applications without any coding. It's drag and drop. So if you can, if you young at time you do paint, drag and drop objects. If you know how to do that, you can do these kind of things. It's more about whether you are curious enough and you're willing to take the time to go and spend some time to learn all these things. And it doesn't require any coding. It requires some effort. But it doesn't require any like coding. And in terms of daunting or not, I don't think it's that daunting. Just try and experiment. And there's a lot of things that non-technical people can go and learn about. Even in like things like ChatGPT, on learning how to prompt. I'm also really surprised a lot of people still don't know how to prompt properly. Like prompting is almost like an art more than a science.
Yes.
And it can be learned by anyone. Doesn't need to be a programmer.
What are your top tips? Right, because I think a lot of people have opinions on this, but what are your top tips for prompting?
Well, I think it's very established now. Be clear and concise. Just say, give examples. So there's thing called like one-shot prompting and few shot. Few shot is like you give an example. So like let's say you want ChatGPT to give a format of like an output. Let's say you want the format to be, let's say you give an essay about whatever, like a news article.
Yeah.
Then you want the output to be extract all person's name in this article and then put it in a format where name 1 equals like Abu, name 2 Ali, name 3 Siti, and this format. So you put the example in the prompt. Say, here is the article, extract all names in this format. Name 1 this, name 2 this, name 3 this. And then you give the example in the prompt. Of course, you be as clear as possible in your prompt. You can use languages like it's been proven to say like think step by step, or somehow got one that's like take a deep breath actually improves the output. Take a deep breath, think step by step, few short prompting, be concise. Yeah, these are the basics. If you want the output of the prompt, the output of like ChatGPT to be more accurate, then you can insert like context. So let's say you want to ask ChatGPT to extract some information about, I don't know, some news or some article. Then you put the article as the context.
Yeah, now you can upload a PDF.
Yeah,
right?
Instead of just like asking it directly, because it would just search its training data and it might hallucinate. But if you give the context, then it will just refer from the context. Yeah. So, but there's so many prompting tips out there.
I think a lot of it is just rely on your imagination, right?
Yeah, but you'll be surprised that a lot of people don't even know how to rely. They don't know a prompt. They'll just ask directly, and then they get the wrong answer. Then they're like, this thing sucks. They're like, ChatGPT sucks.
Just ask better questions.
Yeah. So it's like you have to learn how to prompt. So prompting is like, it's not going to go away that soon, because like language is a very tricky thing, and they cannot, when researchers build all these like AI models, they themselves don't know like what certain words will activate certain parts of the weights of the model.
That's right.
So like let's say you are asking something. Some people say it's very dangerous to ask ChatGPT about medical diagnosis, but there are a lot of research paper that show that if you ask the question properly, the output of ChatGPT medical diagnosis is actually very accurate, and it aligns with like all the expert doctors in terms of their answers. So a lot, there's two camps. Some say that we call them LLMs, large language models, like ChatGPT. LLMs are unreliable. Some people would one camp would say LLMs are unreliable. The other camp is like the human just don't know how to prompt.
Yeah.
So I mean, but it's a bit of both. So
I guess I can imagine a world one day where. So I mean, part of the reason why, I guess, and you see whether I'm correct or not, but part of the reason why people who are anti-LLM will say that is because you ask a question on OpenAI or whatever, they can only see the text, right? And even if you add context, it's just more text. Or if you upload a PDF, it's just more some images or designs or whatever. But I can imagine a world where you can ask a question verbally, or even through a video, where ChatGPT can see your facial expressions. They can see your voice. They know the accent that you use. They know the way you speak a language. And, oh, this guy is Malaysian. So when he says certain words, that's what he's trying to mean.
Yeah.
And then the AI can adjust to that. Basically like a human, right? Like why a doctor can presumably right now give you better advice is because you can see a reaction. You can see how you say a word. I can imagine the world where ChatGPT is that good.
It will reach that point though. And it's the ingredients are there already to reach that point of like it can interpret like facial expression like a person and everything. It's a matter of engineering process now to like combine it together. But there are a lot of models out there that can already do it. They can read facial expression, can read like body languages and stuff like that. So it's more of like piecing it together and making it a product.
It's time, it's just a question of time.
Making it a product and see whether people want to pay for it.
Yeah.
A lot of these things that you can imagine as a product, sometimes maybe the market just don't want it. Yeah. I mean, if the market don't want it, then there's no incentive to build it, because there's no there's anything of the day requires some form of like profit for it to keep on
jalan. Yeah.
So like the market have to show that they want this first.
Yeah. So I mean, thank you for sharing a lot of your thoughts on AI. I'm sure there's a lot more. Yeah. Maybe I'm asking the wrong question, so I cannot extract more out of you. But let's talk a little bit about your financial journey, right? Because I think everyone knows when you say that you work in software, you work in data science, you know, you're paid well, right? Yes, even though maybe you live in the US, things are a bit more expensive there. Which part of the US are you now? West Coast,
LA,
LA,
California,
right?
Yeah.
What got you on this financial journey, right? Because I know one of the key things on your bio is, you know, FIRE, right? And then you have Fat FIRE as well. So maybe you start with your FIRE journey. What was that like?
Well, I was raised to be very frugal. As I can remember, I didn't grow up very poor. My family was like maybe middle income to like upper middle income, but somehow like my parents were very frugal, so it kind of instilled like a frugal mindset to myself, and also combined with like when I was young, I always had a sense that I want some, you know, individual autonomy. I want to be free.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's you know, I was a second child, so I have an elder brother and younger sister. Maybe it's like, you know, they call it second child syndrome.
You're a middle child,
yeah,
right?
middle child. You know, they say middle child syndrome. They always want to
don't
like
get anything,
they want to be independent. You know.
Yeah.
So like I always knew that I want to like study overseas and everything. So I wanted to like just be independent on my own, and I didn't want to rely on a lot of people. So when I was like studying in the US, I was super frugal. So even after graduation, I was still very frugal. Like for the I would say like first 6 years after graduation, I never had a single room in my life. So I never stayed in a private room in my life until like 6 years after graduation.
Private room.
So like own room. I have my own room.
Oh, so you share a room with someone?
Share room all my life. So
I mean, it's also quite expensive in Cali and SF, right? I mean, it's quite.
But a lot of people, their concept is like, you know, if you're a graduate and you're working, even in Malaysia, if you're a graduate and working, and if you still share room, they'll like kind of like look down on you.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Even in Malaysia, it's like if you earn like fresh grad like 2,800 to 3,000 ringgit, they expect you to have your own room ready.
Yeah,
you know, they're like, if you share room, they're like, this kind of weird. Like, but I shared room 3%, one room, like for like 6 years like that, and I save a lot of money, like after graduation. I think because I just wanted to just be independent. I stumbled upon the concept of FIRE about during university. So that was, I guess people were talking about like buying stocks at the time. This was in like 2015, 2016, and then the stock market. I still remember like Amazon, Tesla, Netflix, all those were moving up very fast, and there was like chatter all around. And so I also stumbled upon, like, at that time it was in the US. So my first investing experience was with this app called Robinhood, very infamous app.
Yeah.
But they made it very easy to invest. Like you can just like deposit like $50, $100, and you can start investing. So I just like, you know, started to buy some individual stocks, and then fast forward few years after working, I think for frugal people, right, if you save a substantial amount of your paycheck every month, right, naturally you would think like where to put it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're like, I'm saving this amount, like why am I putting in the bank getting like such low percentage? Then you would think like where to put it. Then you will go and find like where to put it. Then initially of course people will tell you like, yeah, just go and invest in stock market. So I think the financial education among like at least in the US, among my peers, are much higher than here.
For sure.
So people talk about investing very like freely and commonly, versus here maybe a few years ago, no one really talked about investing. So in terms of investing, Malaysians' mindset traditionally is like, just put in FD
or property.
Yeah, just put in FD. Or property is maybe like 10 years ago. Now it's like hard also. Like, but very, very traditionally, Malaysia's mindset is like FD, and then like even if you got unit trust and mutual funds, you're already considered like edgy already.
Yeah.
Like don't stray beyond FD, you know.
Yeah.
Like what more stock market? even like Bursa was like a foreign thing to a lot of people.
That's true.
What more the US stock market? Yeah. So I think I stumbled upon FIRE, and then I really like the concept of FIRE. I'm like, you have a nest egg, you get a certain
4% withdrawal or something like that.
Yeah, you get a percentage amount every year, and then you just live off it. Then I'm like, that
for
sounds
the
like
next 25, 30 years, something like that, right?
It will never run out. Right?
Yeah,
so the concept of FIRE is that your nest egg never runs out. You can live forever.
Yeah.
You can live forever at 4%, and your money won't decrease because your nest egg will just retain, and then you just.
What was that for you? Just curious, because different people have different definitions, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your FIRE threshold? Let's say.
Well, my initial FIRE threshold was like, if you're a single person, live a normal life, eat at hawker center, eat mixed rice, take public transport a bit. Yeah, take public transport a bit, drive a bit on the weekend.
1,500, 2,000 ringgit maybe.
Go 2 local holidays, 1 overseas holidays a year, that kind of like FIRE life. So it's like, I achieved that FIRE number like about a few years ago already. So that is like if I'm a single person. Then if you like, start having like girlfriend, or you want to plan for like future kids and all, then you have to increase your FIRE number.
Yeah. That's why fat FIRE, right?
Yeah. I think most people's fat FIRE is like they can live like T20 lah. So FIRE is like you live like M40. But if you want fat FIRE, actually most fat FIRE probably T5. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So
True.
I think a lot of Malaysians, at least among personal finance people, their fat FIRE target is like every month they will get at least around 20k ringgit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe FIRE target is like 3 to 5k from the 4%. So FIRE number very easy to calculate. You just take your yearly expense times 25.
25, yeah. 4%.
So if you want 5k a month, means 60k a year. So 60 times 25, like 1 million gives you 40k a year. So 1.5 million.
Yeah.
So if you got 1.5 million, you can live 5k ringgit.
So then if fat FIRE will be just times 5 lah.
Right? FIRE times 5 lah. Times 4.
Times 4.
So fat FIRE is like
4 million.
5 million.
6 million? Yeah. 1.5 times 6. Yeah.
Or 1.5 times 4. Yeah. 6 million. So a lot of Malaysians, I think that is the range. FIRE around 1.5, fat FIRE around 6 million. So, which I think a lot of Malaysians, I think if you do your investing properly,
it's possible lah.
It's possible to reach FIRE before 50.
FIRE, yeah.
Very possible. And if you like hardworking a bit, before 40 also easily. Yeah. But my investment journey moved very drastically. I started with individual stocks. And then after a while, I feel like this is like nonsense.
Yeah.
I'll just stick with ETFs. Then I started doing like S&P 500 ETFs. And then after that, I feel like, why am I doing S&P 500 ETFs when I don't even know what am I investing in? Then I started going back to stocks. And then after that, I moved on to like all kinds. I've tried everything from crypto, P2P, equity crowdfunding, everything. Even like investing in fine art, NFTs, everything. So now, these days, I'm a bit of both. My portfolio spreads mainly in stocks and crypto.
Yeah.
And like they're about equal. And then and in stocks and crypto, I try to follow like the 9-3-1 ratio. So in stocks, I have a 9-3-1 of like my favorite stocks, and then in crypto also. So like let's say in stocks, the 9 is like Tesla. So my Tesla would be like 3 times bigger than my second favorite stock. Then my second favorite stock would be 3 times.
So it's basically 3.
Then my second favorite stock would be 3 times bigger than my third favorite stock. And then after that, it's like miscellaneous for you to play around, itchy hands, So the base top 3 is like just buy and hold. And then the rest, if you want the itchy hands, you go and itchy hands.
So has this, because I mean, for the most part, you were working offsite, right? You're working remote. And that, I think that's like the dream geo hack, right? Because you earn in US dollars.
Yeah.
And then you live here, right? Which is like worlds apart, right?
Yeah.
But now you have to relocate back to the US. Has that changed a little bit?
Yeah, it definitely changed. Right. But because I took this job not so much because of the money, but because I felt the team and the
startup, right? There's a vision, right?
Yeah. It's quite fun. It's a small team, and it's also the CEO is willing to invest a lot in like infrastructure, and I like that. Like, I think we invested about like $200,000 on just like computers.
Wow.
And like I mostly get free reign to use it, so it's an attractive position to be in, to like, you know, like you get all this like computing power to just like do experiments and test out your own theories and stuff like that. So yeah, I jumped on the opportunity, and I think if you minus all the living costs, rental,
it's worth it, yeah.
It will be, you'll probably earn less if you work remotely US dollar and live in Malaysia, right? But I think it's
some of the experience and the people that you meet, probably the intangible benefits.
Yeah. But I highly encourage all Malaysians to try to do some remote work. To earn US dollar or even Singapore dollar. Because the leverage is just too high, and it changes so much of like how you see the world and everything. Like, but I think a lot of Malaysians still, you know, they don't want to go out of their comfort zone, or maybe
I think it's hard. Like, I think I think they want, but not many jobs, because remote work is only afforded to, let's say, what you do, virtual assistants, maybe, I don't know, some back end work, right? Even for a lot of people who, you know, they want to go to Singapore and all that, but they have to be physically there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, the thing is about remote jobs, so you are competing with the entire world. So it's like, it's more competitive as well.
Right. So you think that your cost of living is cheap, but someone in India say, no, I'm cheaper. And then someone in Vietnam says, I'm cheaper. Yeah.
So it's like,
it's not as easy.
It's not as easy. True. It's not as easy.
But it's right. The geo hack is some of the best, because at least from where I sit, the standard of living in Malaysia, especially if we can hit T20, T5, I mean, it's like, it's not elite private jet kind of, you know, level, but all your needs and wants will be taken care of. We are relatively convenient, you know, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the, I guess, good and bad thing of Malaysians are very easily satisfied.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, the saying, it's like syukur lah, you know. It's like anything syukur.
Yeah.
It's like, got food to eat, can already, you know. It's like, you know,
exactly.
It's like, be satisfied, you know, just happy. Yeah. That's a good and bad thing. Like, if like a lot of people, if you are like too stressful, then it's good. But if you really want to you know, push yourself and like hustle, then maybe you can, you know.
Yeah, you shouldn't be here. I tell people, if you want to be a world beater, you should be in Malaysia.
Yeah.
It's a fact, right?
But the thing about low wages or low salary in Malaysia is like, it's bad for employee, but good for employer. So it's like, if you want to start a business, it's like, it's like great, you know, it's like, you know, it's like,
that's true.
There's like, you know, pros and cons, but Malaysia's still attractive.
So what would you advise people who want to start their FIRE journey? Like, what's the process like?
I would say I see a lot of financial like content creator, you know, they emphasize growing your income first, and like don't worry too much about saving. But
really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people say like, if you save, you know, 10% of your 3,000 ringgit salary is 300.
What's that, right?
Yeah, what's that? It's like, you have to focus on your income first before, you know, like, don't worry too much about savings. I think they have to go hand in hand. For me, being a frugal person actually helps me to increase my income, because the reason is not so much about the day-to-day saving amount, but it's more about the mindset. Let's say if I'm frugal already, right, that I know that I can live. I already experimented like my lifestyle, right? I know that I can live on like this small amount per month. Let's say I experiment living 1,000 ringgit a month, and I done it for like 2 to 3 years. Then I know I can live at 1,000 ringgit a month. So if my income increased to like 20K,
you save 19.
Then you save 19. Or I can take risks. Let's say I know this job, like maybe this industry will bankrupt in 6 months, but they're paying 30K, you know. But I'm willing to take this risk to go for this job. Like they pay 30K a month, but maybe I know they are going to go bankrupt within 6 months.
This is the last few months.
It's like last few months to like, maybe there's like some hype industry or whatever, like crypto or whatever. Then you are willing to jump to that because you know that you can survive on very low. You know that after 6 months, no more income at zero, I'm still fine. So if let's say you start off your journey, your lifestyle is like 10K a month, right? Then for you to jump to a 30K a month and knowing that that industry is going to bankrupt in 6 months, you feel more hesitant. You feel like, what if suddenly I lost my
because you have a lot more liabilities.
Yeah, my burn rate is 10K a month. Like, I cannot take the risk to go to an industry that might cut off my income within 6 months like that. But so I would say being frugal is not so much about the dollar amount or ringgit amount you save, but it's more about mindset, knowing that you will be okay anyway. You'll be okay if you have no money.
That's true.
That mindset is very powerful. To know that you'll be fine even without
no matter what happens, money, right?
Allows you to take a lot of risks.
Yeah.
And I would say most of my big gains in portfolio, they didn't come from diversification. They didn't come from like, as much as I preach DCA, DCA won't like get you super rich.
Yeah.
But it's the ideal thing for like most people. What grew my portfolio the most is like just at that certain point have high conviction on a certain like stock or certain like crypto or certain like business, and you put a significant amount in, and then you just wait. And to be able to even take the action, right, is to know that you can survive even if that money is gone. So if you cannot reach that emotional level of like putting money in to know that even that money gone, then you'll be fine. Then it's very hard for you to put in that money.
That's right.
Yeah. So most of my big financial portfolio gains come from a few decisions, a few like high commission trades, and then it just grow from there. Yeah. But in the content creation space, I always try to I actually preach more like risk averse stuff.
Yeah. Because not many people can people can misunderstand what you say.
Mainly because I know that majority of people are not like me. So if you want to, go more like high risk or degen, then you can message me. But my content, mostly I try to cater to like the masses. And if you look at the masses, right, investing is already solved. Investing, just put your money into S&P 500. It's like 30 years history, 50 years history that showed 8 to 10% compound annual gains every year. So like, it's a very, very, it's almost like investing is already solved. Put some money in there, DCA, put some money into like cash equivalent, like FD, money market fund, and then up to you to adjust your risk tolerance. If you're young, maybe you put more into stock market, less into like cash equivalent, like FD or MF. If you are older, then you put more into cash equivalent stuff. Then you just like, leave
wait.
Leave like a few percentage for like whatever, like gold or your speculative or Bitcoin or whatever. So it's like that for the masses, if you want to steadily invest, grow wealth, like there's like countless times people wrote blogs explaining how to do this over and over again.
It's all there already.
Yeah, it's all there already. So like I always tell people like investing is already solved. It's like just depend like how much degen you want to go, or like how much risk you want to take for like the really niche stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks, Dylan, so much. Really enjoyed this podcast. Before we go, you want to shout out your Instagram account? Any other things that you want to shout? Any projects you're working on?
Yeah, sure. My Instagram account is like Shoulders of Giants _. So shoulders plural, giants plural. So shoulders.
In my head, it's always
Dylan
Sock.
Yeah. Then if you want to follow my Twitter, I tweet more AI stuff there. So my Instagram more personal finance and like investing. Then Twitter more AI stuff. My Twitter is like SOG_on_bird_app. So SOG on bird app.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I always feel like my Twitter audience and my Instagram audience very different, because my Twitter is a bit more unhinged, more personal. Like, also might be like more like internal jokes in like the AI sector and all. So maybe like, yeah, you can pick and choose what you want to follow. But yeah, so these are my main two platforms. maybe in the future we'll expand to TikTok or YouTube. I always say that, but always so lazy and cannot find the prioritization of it. Mostly these days, I'm focused a lot on doing a lot of like side projects, AI apps, side projects, and just researching like the cutting edge stuff because there's just too much coming out. So just trying to stay up to date.
All right, guys, you heard it here. I think this is probably our first podcast on AI, or at least the first one where we go into this sort of depth of discussion. Guys, thank you so much for listening to our video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace. Bye-bye.